people could be doing other things on a Saturday night rather than watching three idiots talk to each other through the camera. So I was like, you know what? Let's just change it to Tuesday. And you were like, yeah, let's just do that. It might be easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. How's things down in ATL, Sean?
The usual stuff. Nothing really major going on, except just keep hearing news that a bunch of schools are canceling their college football season this year. So that's one news.
Yeah, we actually had that up here also. University of Buffalo, which, I mean, they're in the MAC, and I mean, same thing. I mean, they've already canceled their season, at least for right now. I mean, they're looking at possibly moving football to the spring, but who knows what's going to happen with everything going on. But on the bright side, we have baseball downtown now. I mean, the Toronto Blue Jays are here, and of course, nobody can watch them.
Yay, that's fun. Bring them to Buffalo, but you can't watch them live.
Yeah, and the other thing is like you can't even watch them from anywhere on the street even too, because they put up like barricades so you can't even see inside the baseball stadium.
Oh, what? That's messed up.
Yeah, like regardless of like what side of the street you're on, they have like these like it's like the walls that they put up, and it's like you can't see nothing.
I mean,
it doesn't make any sense.
Right. I know, and it's funny because now, I mean, it's supposed to be on MLB Network tonight, and they were going to play the Miami Marlins, and I mean, I actually sort of wanted to kind of see it just to see what they ended up changing up over at Salem Field, but I mean, I guess what's going to happen is that after everything is done with the Blue Jays, they're going to keep all the improvements and everything else, and well, the funny thing is actually I've got the game on right now. They made it look like Toronto. Yeah. Canadian leaf and all on the outfield wall, like with the distance markers and everything. I'm like, and right now Miami's actually beating Toronto 1-0 in the bottom of the fifth.
Well, I mean, I would have much rather than taken the Canadian leaf off and just put a little buffalo on there. Or actually, no, correction. Keep the leaf, but take the Blue Jay off and just put a bison on there and just call yourselves the Buffalo Blue Jays just for the rest of your eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah, I mean, the whole place looks like it's all like Rogers Center, but it actually looks nicer, kind of. But it's funny because the way that they have the stands, they actually have the fake cardboard cutouts showing people. I'm like,
yeah, I saw that on one of the games from weeks ago.
Yeah, it's obvious. It's like you can tell it's cardboard. I'm like, it doesn't look like real.
Yeah, and then you can see someone like me do this with their cardboard cutout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I know you would.
I would be that one guy.
Oh yeah. So a couple of things we're gonna kick it off tonight. You know, in the hot box. So one of the biggest things that came out this week was the jersey reveal for the Sabres, and anyone who got to see it yesterday and today, all I can say is it is a nice combo of the alternate jersey that we had last year, along with the original royal blue. And I gotta say, the jersey looks kick-ass.
Oh my God. I've been waiting for that jersey for like 5 years now, since they were just so miserable. I was like, just change the uniform and everybody would be happy. But then again, as awesome as the jersey, it makes it like, if you look at the jersey, it's so 70s, but it's a modernized look.
It is. I totally love it because it's like the Buffalo actually stands out on the actual logo now. And they end up going with like that silver swirl and the white. And then it's just, I mean, I'm like, thank God they fixed the shoulders. So that's a good thing. And then it's just the way that everything looks together is just it's just a much better look. I mean, huge upgrade, I think. I
agree with you 100%. Did you see the jerseys, Sean? I
did. I saw them on Twitter. And I'm just happy that blue is my favorite color, royal blue. So, who knows? I might cut one myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, it certainly would be. I mean, how I got the jersey right here, not the one that just got revealed, but the logo itself. I mean, you can probably see it from the blend-in. Like, you kind of see it. It's literally like the Buffalo stands out more. Like, yeah, let me bring it to the camera more. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So you can see like the Buffalo, like the little ear part is missing, and then the legs and in between behind legs are more curved. Like they make it more 3D, like stand out. That's one thing I really like about the jersey. And this is the Winter Classic jersey, by the way, but they took off the little MY on the bottom. So that's just kind of to give you an idea of what exactly they did. And I think they took a page from when the Vegas Golden Knights did it, if you remember. The Golden Knights did a similar thing. Like, they took a specific, like, coloring. Like if you look on the logo, it's got a little bit of, like, an effect to it within the hair. But if you compare that to the Vegas Golden Knights, it has a more like chime of armor on the Golden Knights logo on the crest of the jersey. Like the Sabres kind of did a similar thing here.
Yeah, they did. And actually, for those watching at home, I actually am showing the picture of the crest and everything on the screen now. So it definitely, wow. I mean, the way that they did it, I mean, they also made the sword stand out a little bit more also. Like where it's more three-dimensional, and the Buffalo, like you were saying, is more three-dimensional. So, I mean, I love the look, honestly. But the one thing I would love to see come back at some point is I would love to see those 90s jerseys when we had basically like the Snorton Buffalo logo at some point as an alternate. I would love to see either
the red, black, and white jerseys.
Yeah, I would love to see it back. It was one of my favorites. Oh,
I've been meaning to get one, like either a red or a black one, because those look nice. Those, like, honestly, those are the ones I'm more familiar with, you know. But hey, you know.
Yeah, and even somewhere in my house, I still have a Stu Barnes red jersey. So I mean, that's I still have one of those laying around. But I mean, it was just one of my favorites, and it's just look at that time. I mean, I just loved it. It was like, I mean, yeah, I'll always love the original 70s look, and I'll always love the original logo that we had. But seriously, like in the mid-90s when we had the new arena, it was 96 actually when those jerseys first came out. And just seeing something completely different, that black and red, and having the arena have that look, I mean, it was cool. I mean, and it was around the same time. Like Bobby, I know you can remember too, going back when the Islanders had their other logo for a while, when they ended up changing that up, and then the Caps ended up changing up their logo right around the same time. Then, of course, I mean, around the same time, all of the teams either reverted back to the original logos or they ended up going to something different.
Yeah, and that's a trend too. I mean, you're gonna have to be a little more specific with that Islander trend, because the Islanders have like 10 different logos, so you're gonna have to be a little more.
Remember when they had like, it was like that fisherman
yes.
logo? Yeah, that's what I was kind of mentioning, because it was right around that same time when the Sabres ended up doing that change back in 96. I think it was like right around like 96, 97 is when the Islanders made the change to that.
Yeah, I remember that jersey. And you know what? I actually own a copy of the Fisherman jersey. In fact, if I were to just go over there now, I can literally show off my entire jersey collection to you guys. I have a mixture of good and bad jerseys, if you want me to pull them off real quick.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
All right. Well, tell me, like, what was I going to say? But I will say this, Sean, is if you do want the red and black Sabres jersey, before I go get it, is you can look on eBay for them.
All right, but I'm kind of leaning towards the black one.
Yeah.
To me, black looks more intimidating.
Yeah, that black jersey was sweet, you know, especially for the road jerseys. I mean, that's
probably why I remember those the most, because then when they came out in 96, because I moved to Buffalo in 97, so that's probably why I'm more familiar with those.
Right. Yeah, you always had like the original Rangers jerseys down there, and then of course, I mean, the Islanders made a change. I mean, I know you were from Brooklyn originally, so I know you ended up having a lot of exposure to teams down there.
Yeah, I mean, I was focused on the Giants the most at the time. I mean, that's not. I've never been to a hockey game in my life, so yeah.
Yeah. But it kind of makes me wonder, though, did you ever catch, like, a Giants game when you were down there, like, over at the old Meadowlands?
Honestly, I have not.
I have.
Definitely.
Yeah, was it as bad as they said it was for, like, the stadium down there with the fans?
I honestly wouldn't know. I mean, the only NFL games I've ever been to were 2 Buffalo Bills games. Both of them where we lost. One to the Colts, I think it was back in either 2000 or 2001, and the other one to the Eagles. I think that was probably back in, was it 2003 around there? I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've been to 3 different – actually, no, I've been to 2. I went to New River Field twice, and I've always go to MetLife Stadium. I went to my first Giants game, regular season Giants game against the Bills just this past year, and then I went to I go to every Jets-Bills game at MetLife Stadium every year with me and my fiance. So we usually end up going, but this year we're kind of in jeopardy. But we'll find out until further notice. I guess that's only fair to say as far as that goes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially with hockey season coming up. Because the thing I would love to do is I still want to at least catch a couple games, but that's going to be if we can even catch a couple games this year.
Well, to start off my jersey collection, here's the red one that I was talking about a little earlier. So I got that one.
Yep.
I obviously showed the Winter Classic. Here's the black one I was talking about, Sean.
Yes. That's the one that's the one I want.
Yeah, I've had this for years. I had a Pat LaFontaine one, but I don't know where that is. And then I have the Fisherman jersey, as I was talking about earlier as well. I have the Fisherman. What else do we have on here? I also have the 2011 Coca-Cola jersey. Remember this, Tom?
Oh, yeah. Yep, I definitely remember that.
Yep, 2011 Coca-Cola. What else do I have in here? I also have a custom Sabres jersey my grandmother got me 15 years ago. I got this one.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is the 06-07 version of the Charging Banana, the CCM ones. This is before they moved to Orbit Edge. And after they did the Orbit Edge jersey, I actually hated this jersey. But because they did the CCM one, I actually like this version a little bit better. But the one where they did like that stupid curve and had the NHL logo on, I hated it. That's what killed it for me. What else I got in here? Oh, you'll definitely remember this one. One of the biggest pieces of shit you'll ever see. And what's even more embarrassing is I have two of these. I have this one, and I have one that's signed by Cody Hodgson.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, boy.
Man, you're thinking of like the Tyler Ennis era almost.
Right?
Oh, and this actually came out today, too. Tyler Ennis actually broke his legs, so he's going to be out.
Oh, that sucks. And then the last jersey I have is, of course, the Camaro to 50.
Yep.
It's straight up white for those who don't have it. But, yeah, now I got to go out and make a mess of my own apartment, and my fiance is going to kill me. He's like, why are you throwing jerseys all over the floor?
Right. Oh, yeah. Yep. And then, of course, actually just going through some of this stuff right now, too. Actually, our friend Dwayne Stenell from Two Goalies, One Mike says hi. So he ended up dropping us a line. He's still stuck at work, so not here. But anyone who had a chance, check out Two Goalies, One Mike. He actually had Rob Ray on earlier.
Yeah, I saw that episode. That was a great interview, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And still even thinking about the interview you did with them about a month and a half ago, that was definitely good watching right there.
Yeah. And while we're on the topic of Sabres jerseys and jerseys in general, Sean, you want to tell the public what you have in mind?
Oh, boy. If I can remember. Sabres jerseys.
We were just talking about it like 3 weeks ago.
Yes, the Kraken, right?
Yeah, the Seattle Kraken. Tell us about it.
I've been meaning to have a West Coast team to be a fan of, and seeing as how Seattle's now got a hockey team, the Seattle Kraken, I feel, you know what? Why not? Shout out to Buffalo Bob for getting me to be a Kraken fan, and can't wait to do that unboxing video, man.
Oh, yeah. By the way, the receipt says September. It's supposed to be there. It might come earlier, but I don't know. I mean, because I'm looking everywhere, I'm like, where's this package? Is it in Georgia yet?
Well, Lord knows with coronavirus how the post office has been screwing up a lot of stuff lately. Because I actually had something I had bought on eBay, and it was supposed to be within like 5 days. And then about 3 weeks later, I finally got it after they sent my money back. I'm like, oh, sorry, dude. I mean, I didn't mean for that to happen, but he actually shipped me out a second thing, and I'm like, okay, well, it showed up the day that I got refunded. I'm like, sorry, buddy. No, he was cool, though. He let me. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's not your fault, so.
So, I mean, like I said, I'm just, happy for Sean for at least to say as far as that. He's got Seattle, and then we got Buffalo and the Islanders on the channel now. So it's all good stuff as far as I'm concerned. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and What was I going to say? And I've been holding on to these notes for a little while because I figured, it'd be a good topic to talk about. But there's been some lot of speculation about the Sabres lately as far as players who could be key free agents or by trade. I don't know if you've been reading the news lately or at least the rumor mill.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been interesting to see some of the things that have been coming up. And actually, even thinking about some of the stuff that came out of Toronto today about how Dubas is probably gone as a GM. But one of the things that they're looking to do is move Mitch Marner. So now that kind of gets me thinking because Toronto's looking for a defenseman. I mean, I bet out of anything, they might try to make a play for Aristo. The only thing is, would Kevin Adams be stupid enough to give up Risto? Who knows? But at the same time, I mean, Risto's been one of the shutdown defensemen we've had for a long time. But the problem is that if you look at advanced stats, I mean, his stats suck. But in a lot of cases, he can actually do stuff offensively for the team. So there's kind of like that give and take. It's like, do you want to get rid of him or do you want to keep him? And it's almost like that love-hate relationship. Either he's really good or he sucks.
Yeah, it's pretty Jekyll and Hyde as far as that argument goes. But if you look at the stats as far as, Risto and as far as all that, he's an above average defenseman at this point. Like when he first came out of playing over for Finland in the World Juniors, I think it was him that scored the game-winning goal for them to win the gold medal. Yeah, 2013 World Junior Championship. Yeah, he was a stellar prospect at the time. I think it was either before or after he was drafted by the Sabres when he did that. I don't recall exactly when that happens. But one thing I know is for certain is the Sabres have to play devil's advocate right now because at this point you could very well keep Risto as part of your core and then as well as just adding pieces because, again, this whole offseason is going to be about Jack and his tenure about within the Sabres, going forward. And even if they did say, we're going to trade Jack Eichel, they have 2 years to do that because his NTC wouldn't be kicking in by that point.
Right, exactly. And then the other thing that ended up coming out is that Elliot Friedman had mentioned about Toronto having to possibly move Marner because of the fact that they have over $70 million tied up between 17 players. So you figure the cap hit that they're screwed up with, I mean, they overspent on everybody. So then that's where some of the speculation is coming from, where possibly make a move for Risto and then, send either Nylander out or Marner out or a combination of your star players and prospects. And then who knows what's going to happen. The thing that I don't see happening, though, is I don't think Risto goes to Toronto if we decide to move him. And here's why. A, that would be a death wish for Kevin Adams. I mean, that would be one way to get fired real quick. But the other thing is that, I mean, keeping him in the same division against your biggest rival, I mean, you'd be brain dead to be thinking that.
Yeah, I don't think Risto's going to Toronto by any means. If I do see a team going after him, I actually could see the Devils go after him.
Well, that could be a possibility because, I mean, the Devils are rebuilding again, and you have to figure with Hughes and everyone that they've picked up, I mean, they're going to need some firepower. I mean, there's no question on that. They need some defensive help. Offensively, I mean, they're not as bad as what they were, but, I mean, you figure new system, new line, new everything. I mean, I could see that happening.
Yeah, for sure. And John Vogel has said that the Sabres can target guys from the Leafs, Blackhawks, Islanders, Ducks, Coyotes, Penguins to add cheap quality players in return by trade.
Well, hopefully it's not just only the Penguins like it's been because look at how that's turned out.
Yeah, and another team that's being mentioned on here is the Tampa Bay Lightning because the Sabres have interest in Anthony Cirelli.
Mm-hmm. That wouldn't be a bad move. And actually, I think they're still playing. They're like, overtime number 4 now or something? I mean, that game's been on since 3 o'clock today.
Well, here's the thing, too, is that because if you look at it in terms of, cap friendly, the Sabres are at $81.5 million in terms of the 2021 campaign's salary cap, but it could affect the team because they have just over $47 million invested to 10 players for the next season and with between 10 to 13 players to sign. And these are guys like Sam Reinhart, Brandon Montour, Linus Ullmark, Victor Olsen, and Dominic Cahoon. And resigning all their RFAs could push their cap payroll to nearly $73 million, and that's with the addition of top prospect Dylan Cousins, which would put them at $73.87 million. But it's also being said that John Vogel believes that the Sabres need one forward to reach their roster minimum, and they could also want to add a left-handed defenseman and a spare forward. And he suggested targeting several clubs with a limited cap space to shed some salary for next season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that they can go. And actually, real quick, Toronto's actually come back and at the bottom of the sixth, they're up 3-1.
Well, the Mets fucking blow, so who cares? The Yankees are just killing it right now, and I hate to say that, especially now that Sean's here. He's like, haha, I told you, man. You should shut the hell up.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting seeing Salem Field on here because I'm watching MLB Network right now, and the way they designed it looks very similar to Rogers Center with all the stuff that they did with it. I mean, outfield wall looks great. They have, like, of course, the retired numbers for the Blue Jays on the wall, so they ended up doing that. And then basically with the infield looks 100% better than it used to, and also the lighting looks good. So I mean, they made some nice changes to it, and it was already a good minor league ballpark to begin with. So. I mean,
yeah, for sure. For sure. But to give you an idea of what the Sabres could be looking at here, I want you to keep your eyes open on this because this is a very important discussion, specifically with how the Sabres respond as far as the free agency and trade market goes. Because really, like I said, the Sabres are playing devil's advocate. So they're going to have to be really strategic with their salary cap and with who they're going to be paying. Because there are some names on this list who are worth mentioning. So let's say, for example, with all the teams I mentioned, like Toronto, Chicago, the Islanders, etc., guys like Dylan Strome, Brandon Saad, they could be looking at the Sharks with Tomas Hertl. That's been rumored for like 2 months. Kasperi Kapanen, Andreas Johansson, Alex Kerfoot, and Ilya Mikheyev. And then if you go to Arizona, you could look at guys like Nick Schmaltz and Christian Dvorak, who I would really like. And then, of course, Derek Stepan, but he's too old. If you look at the Ducks, you can look at Ricard Raquel and then Adam Henrique, or go to the Blues and trade for a goalie. You could trade for Jay Gallen. You could do that, or you could go into the free agent market and you could get someone like Anton Khudobin in the free agent market, or even Thomas Greiss.
Right, and those are all pretty good names. I mean, when we look at it, especially, I mean, Brandon Saad, I mean, good established player. He's been around for a while now in the league, but I mean, he's still very productive. Kasperi Kapanen is definitely someone I would have no problem bringing here. And the thing is, he has such a good upside, and nowadays getting that NHL experience, and he's still a young player. So, I mean, you have to figure now with being at that point where you're getting outside of the ELC and you're now starting to actually get that contract dollars. I mean, the things that he's been able to do early on is definitely very promising. So I would have no problem bringing him in. And then to your point about getting an established goalie, I mean, I would totally go for that and probably move Hutton out because of the fact that, of course, he's not doing anything anymore.
Yeah. And another name that's being brought up, and this is from Arthur Staples of Newsday, by the way, and he's mentioned the Devils, the Red Wings, and the Sabres to have interest in Nick Leddy, and the price for him would cost at least a second, if not 2 second-round picks for Nick Leddy's contract. First off, he's got a load of money. He's carrying about $7 million in cap. That's number one. Number two, why the fuck would anybody trade 2 second-round picks just to get rid of a shed salary?
It's overpriced. I mean,
yeah,
it's absolutely stupid to think that you want two. It's like absolutely stupid to think that they would want 2 seconds. He's not worth it.
Yeah, and that's ludicrous in my opinion. But here's something else. You want to hear something else that's even crazier? Supposedly, Kevin Adams and the Buffalo Sabres are working on a deal with Sam Reinhart in 1 or 2 scenarios. They could trade him to the Calgary Flames at a blockbuster deal for Johnny Gaudreau, or they could sign him to an extension for 8 years at annual average value for guess how much?
I'm guessing probably, well, let's see. I mean, Eichel's closer to 10, so you figure, I would guess between like 5 and 7.
Wrong. $8.7 million per season.
Are you kidding me?
I am not joking.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of money right there.
That is a lot of money. I mean, I don't even know if the guy has ever put up 30 points. I mean, not 30 points, 30 goals. And it's, but he got 25 for all I know. I mean, he might have actually put up 25. I could be wrong about that.
Like maybe once.
Yeah. Oh, here's another kick in the nuts. You know how we were talking about Brandon Montour?
Yeah.
You know? Well, here's another twist for you. Brandon Montour is most likely not coming back on the Sabres next year. And there is one team in the rumor mill talking to the Sabres about his service, the Calgary Flames.
Okay. So possibly package him and Reinhardt, and then, could go for Gaudreau and, possibly throw in like a prospect or something. I mean, Montour has been so-so. I mean, he's either good or he's not. And there's been situations where he's really screwed up the defensive play. But at the same time, I mean, he at times has been one of the better defensemen on our team. So I wouldn't mind seeing him go and trying to build a little bit more. But at the same time, Reinhardt, I mean, especially when I looked at season 1 and season 2 and season 3, I mean, season 2 was his worst season. And the thing that bothered me, especially with season 2, is that he didn't want to work. There were times he was lazy. He was lazy offensively, you know, a lot of times where he ended up causing some issues with puck possession and of course ended up botching plays. But I'm still thinking that he's too inconsistent to be wanting $8.5 million a year. I could think of other players that would deserve $8.5 a year. Goudreau would be better at $8.5 a year versus Reinhardt.
I mean, it depends who you talk to, because Johnny Gaudreau is one of the best American players in the league. And if the Sabres are able to trade Reinhardt and Montour for the service of Johnny Hockey, sign me up. Sign me up.
Yeah, do it.
I mean, it's kind of like if the Bills, for example, I mean, they've added wide receivers. You know, they got Stephon Diggs and all that crap. But imagine if they were to go in that route, what the Sabres could potentially do and get another top-notch wide receiver to play in the realm with guys like Diggs and whatever. Could you imagine? And they give up another first-round pick and another player to go with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it would be a huge boost. I mean, and a lot of times, I mean, yeah, we're going to have – I mean, you know there's going to be fan favorites. You know that's going to happen. But, hey, sports is a business. You got to move people out to get better. I mean,
that's for sure.
Yeah, and I'm not going to name that one person who I absolutely can't stand on some of the boards who always talks about, oh, Tyler Ennis is such my favorite player. We need to bring back O'Reilly. And it's like, well, A, O'Reilly didn't want to be here, so shut up about that. And B, Tyler Ennis didn't do crap for the time he was here. And, actually, there was news out of Edmonton today, so we were talking about it in the pre-show. But yeah, Tyler Ennis is not going to be around for a while, and it's going to probably affect his unrestricted free agent status because of the fact that he basically ended up breaking his leg, and he's done. So pretty much what happened is, of course, with the Oilers not doing anything in the playoffs, there might be some more changes on that team, especially with the blue line. So, and apparently, I guess Edmonton wants to keep him, but here's the thing. They don't want to pay him more than $1.5 million, so he's gone.
No doubt about that. And one other piece of news about the Sabres is Kevin Adams' top priority this offseason is to get a second-line center and a goalie for the short-term future. I mean, listen, if you're going between Greiss, Khudobin, and Allen, I would go Allen only because he's younger and at least has some playoff experience. Yep. I mean, they all do, but, I think Allen would probably – because he was a starter – so you may as well give him a chance, at that point on. So it makes me question, if they're going to go after Jake Allen or Anton Khudobin or Thomas Greiss for that matter, what are you going to do with Carter Hutton? Are you going to send him to the AHL? Are you going to trade him? What's going to happen here?
I'd probably try to trade him. See if he can get any money for him as backup. But, I mean, realistically, what will probably happen is that a lot of teams are not going to want to go for him, especially with what the price would be. So then you figure bury him in the AHL and basically give him some playing time down there. But then, of course, Carter Hutton probably won't want that. So who knows? Maybe he defects to the KHL or something crazy. But, I mean, I would say try to trade him if you can.
We'll see. We'll find out eventually how that all comes about. So I guess we'll see how everything plays out for the Sabres. But right now, it's just too early to talk about that. So
yeah, absolutely,
that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's some. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What I was gonna say is that I want Sean's opinion on this because I know he's a big Bills fan. What was your story and what was your thinking last week about the whole opt-out story or contemplation of opt-out from Tre'Davious White?
Oh, boy. Where do I start with this one? Honestly, I'm glad he's playing this season. I mean, because it would have been really, really damaging to our defense if he opted out. But, at the same time, when it comes to health and the pandemic and all that stuff, you don't want to take any chances. But, I feel like I feel like White made a right choice for his. I'm not speaking for him, obviously, but I feel like he did make a good choice because our defense really need him. And we
Right.
already had like a few Bills players opting out of the season, for the right reason. But I'm just saying.
Right. And I think it's only fair that this discussion gets talked about because the corresponding of this discussion with Tre'Davious White really raises my authority as a Bills fan. Not that I'm not saying I would leave the team or anything like that. No, no, no. But what I'm talking about is like when Tre'Davious White came out the other day and he said that, I might not play football because I want to keep my family healthy and whatever. But I think the thing that really rubbed people the wrong way is when he came out the next morning and he said, it's kind of funny how people are criticizing me for contemplating about whether I should play football or not. And my girl, which is his wife, her grandfather passed away from COVID. So, he says, I don't want to put that risk on my family, and I have 2 young kids, so I don't know if I want to play football just to, jeopardize them. And then people on Twitter and all of social media were giving shit to Tre'Davious White, saying, "Oh, you're selfish. You're a coward. You're picking your family over football."
Oh
Because
my
the people out there who said that are real spineless pieces of shit. It's like football is a sport, okay? It's for all of our entertainment. But you have to look at it from a human perspective. Tre'Davious White, in my opinion, I would have said, I respect this decision no matter what he would have done. Because if he opted out, I would have said, you know what? It sucks. You could have went out and got Logan Ryan for cheap. That's what he should have done. If the Bills were going to find out eventually that Trey White was going to opt out, is go after Logan Ryan. That's what I would have done. But they don't have that problem right now because Trey is going to be playing, obviously. But it makes me think in the back of my mind that Trey was almost in a certain way was rubbed in retrospective, like he was rubbed the wrong way from the fans saying, how loyal they are, and then they give him crap. And then people were even contemplating or even writing stupid, pointless articles about the point that he could get to the point where he would want out of Buffalo and request a trade.
Right. And here's the thing. I mean, Trey White is definitely a top 5 cornerback in the league. I mean, there's no question about that. He's proven that in his first 2 seasons. And, I mean, the fact that a lot of people were giving him crap for deciding on his family, well, guess what? Family comes first, regardless of what anyone says. It's like I know football is for our entertainment, just like Bobby said, and we have our favorite players, and we know that teams are going to bring in players to try to get the job done. That's what they're paid to do. But at the same time, I mean, you can't fault a man for wanting to take care of his family and to provide for his family. And at the same time, you can't fault a man or woman or whatever. You can't fault them for wanting to, protect themselves at the same time. So, I mean, either way, if Trey White would have opted out, I mean, we would have all, I mean, I know I would have respected his decision. I know all 3 of us would have done that. And to Bobby's point, yeah, Logan Ryan easily, that's something we could do. It would suck, in terms of the actual game because we'd be losing a lot of production, especially with that position. But at the same time, I mean, you can't fault him for, wanting to really think about it and kind of decide what was going on. So, I mean, just, that alone, I mean, yeah, would we have lost production? Yeah, we would have. Is it something that we could get through? Sure, it is. But, I'm definitely happy to see him coming back, though. I mean, it definitely been one of my favorite players to watch on this team the last few years.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said earlier, it could very well be the turning point of the Bills within the next year or two because there are real dumb as a rock morons like Dolphins fans, Jets fans, who all firmly for somehow believe that Tre'Davious White is going to leave the Bills because of the way he was being treated on Twitter. It's like, really, they really believe that Trey White is going to leave the Bills because he went on a rant about his family on Twitter, and I want out. Like, I would have understood if there was a mismanagement issue with Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, but that's not what's happening here because they have a great relationship, and they're like, you know what, we don't know when we're going to sign Trey because we want to have the money for him. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with you, but it's just like, it's kind of selfish that some of the people out there, like, it really exposed Bills fans, honestly, as far as just, like, saying, oh, Bills fans are pieces of shit. They're exposing themselves to seeing how selfish they really are. Like, there's this, false narrative that's pretty much being thrown around. And because of Trey White, arguably the best player on the team, possibly trying to opt out of, playing football for the year.
Right, but at the same time, I mean, the reputation in the league with Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott is that they're basically people that players want to play and go through walls for. I mean, they've really fixed the reputation of this team in 3 years. I mean, and you have to figure 2 appearances in the last 3 years when we had 17 years of nothing. 17 years of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then here we are, 3 years, we've completely overhauled the entire damn team. And we've been in the playoffs the last 2 years, finally getting a taste of what playoff football's like again. That we hadn't seen since the early and mid-'90s. Of course, everyone's going to want to play here. And the thing is, now with McDermott, with Bean, their connections, and then, of course, everyone that they brought in, we're finally seeing that people want to be here. And Stephon Diggs, I am going to love watching him this season.
Oh, yeah. Cannot wait.
I love watching him.
Oh, man.
And he's already going hardcore in terms of getting stuff done, and he wants to have that connection with Josh Allen. So he wants to get in and be that number 1 receiver. I guarantee you that's going to happen.
Whoa, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's really interesting, too, that I saw the other day? I think I saw it on Long Island Bills backers. There was a stat on ESPN that was, in quote, hardest to defend wide receivers on the get-up in the NFL. And this is according to Dominique Foxworth, right? She said this. At number 1 was Tyreek Hill. Number 2 was OBJ. Number 3 was Antonio Brown. Number 4 was Stephon Diggs. And then number 5 was Julio Jones.
Yeah, so easily right there, top 5 wide receiver. That is an instant upgrade for this team, and it was one that was needed for a long time. Now, don't get me wrong, Cole Beasley, great. I love that we brought him in from the Cowboys, and he's had like a very good role, on the team that he's been and the time he's been here. And he's made some very good plays at key times. But I will tell you something. We needed that taller wide receiver, Stephon Diggs, and the fact that Minnesota pissed him off is perfect for us because we got him, and we have him for a while.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that really benefits with them as far as, the Bills are concerned. Because there are some real Jets fans out there. I swear to God when I say this, and this just really pissed me off as a football fan, and they call me stupid. They really believe that Stephon Diggs, in quote, is a number 2 wide receiver.
How is he a number 2 wide receiver? How is that?
That's what I don't get.
No,
That's what I don't get.
He's your bona fide number 1.
The Jets fans' narrative. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Well,
you're going to call Stephon Diggs number 2 wide receiver. Are you kidding me?
Well, apparently so.
He would be he is a number 1 wide receiver on any damn team in this league.
Yeah, that's a fact. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah. New England would be happy to have him. They're pissed off that they didn't get him.
Yeah.
Basically. Well, like I said, Jets fans and Dolphins fans and Vikings fans, for me, have an unhealthy obsession with Josh Allen. You ever notice that? Like, they don't talk about their team, and they're like, oh, our team is going to be so good in 2 years. Jets fans specifically. Oh, Joe Douglas is turning this team around. He's turning them into a Super Bowl. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, literally.
Well, I can imagine why Vikings fans would have that kind of obsession on Josh Allen because his rookie year when he went down to Minnesota, beat the crap out of him, leaped over an all-pro linebacker.
Yeah,
if I remind you, Vikings fans out there, all-pro linebacker getting owned by a rookie quarterback.
That was the greatest.
I have a feeling they still hold that kind of grudge.
Oh, I guarantee you, Anthony Barr will never forget that.
Oh, no.
He got hurdled by a poor QB who shouldn't have even been running the ball, and nobody even thought he had the running game of like a Michael or a Lamar Jackson. And yet, what ends up happening is he hurdled Anthony Barr for all that yardage, and it was a first down on top of it. And then I think they end up taking a 15-yarder on top of it. So that was one of the best plays all year.
Oh, yep. By far. Oh, and speaking of Tre'Davious White, he said this on Twitter. Ready? I'll never blow my own horn or none, but I really put in work this offseason. It was like I was pissed about last year. Scary, right?
Mm.
In other words, he's playing, and everything that pretty much contradicted him last week is pretty much behind him. He's playing.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm just gonna say, I mean, Josh Allen keeps getting better, and what he's doing now, especially with all the work he's been putting in the offseason, working with Stephon Diggs a lot. He's actually been working with the majority of that entire offensive line, so they want to be in sync for when when game starts this year, and that's a beautiful thing because you look at what some of the other teams are doing. I mean, you look at New England; they're a shell of what they formerly were. I mean, you don't have Tom Brady. You don't have Gronk anymore. Well, you hadn't had Gronk for over a year now, but still, you don't have Tom Brady. He was 90% of that offense. And then you look at the running game, they still have some problems right there. So you have to look at the upgrades we did. New England didn't do enough. Cam Newton's going to get his head drilled by week 4 probably. So, I mean, I think the Bills right now, they're the team to beat in the AFC East. I don't see New England coming close. I mean, Belichick will have a system probably, but I mean, you had to go out and get Cam Newton for a year. I mean, hey, Bill Belichick, if Cam Newton's the answer, why didn't you sign him to more than 1 year?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why were you stupid and got rid of Jimmy G?
Yeah. 2 words. Trevor Lawrence.
Oh God.
Oh man, gosh. If he goes to New England,
They're not. He's not going to New England. I seriously doubt that. Unless Cam Newton gets injured by week 2 and doesn't play throughout the rest of the season, then I say yes, the Patriots are probably going to get Trevor Lawrence. But as of right now, I don't see it happening.
All right.
As far as that goes. But who the hell knows, man? Oh, and speaking of the Buffalo Bills, I want to talk about Stephon Diggs because I think this is important. Stephon Diggs has said that he's not opting out, which was last week. You know, it's irrelevant. But I think the real nice treat about Stephon Diggs is this. The Bills tweaked Diggs' contract. According to Mike Garofalo, they moved up money for a couple of years. So they increased the 2020 compensation by $3.3 million, which is now at $14.8, and they reduced the 2021 cash by $300,000, but increased the guarantee by $7.7, now at $11 million, and they reduced salary from 22 to 23 is cash from $25.55 million to $22.67 million. So the Buffalo Bills have a little bit of money to play with, especially with Gaines and Star Lotulelei up and out. The Bills gained an extra $8 million, and then they used that cap to get Brian Winters.
Right, which that was a good move because, I mean, we needed to have that player. So, I mean, bringing Winters in, who absolutely wanted to be gone from the New York Jets, thank God he said right off the bat, the Bills were his number 1 choice. He wants to be here. He has family that's here, and he really likes the style of play that the Bills have. He likes the work ethic that basically McDermott has. And here's a common thing. Players around the league like McDermott and Bean. When was the last time that any Bills GM or coach ever had that? You didn't have that in Dick Duran. You sure as hell didn't have that in Greg Williams with the bullhorn. And you definitely didn't have that with Chan Gailey or anybody else we had more recently, like Mike Mularkey even.
Nope, that's it. That says a lot. That's a whole lot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to be fair, Winters was cut, and the Jets, and within the Jets, he was making about $7 million. And Jets fans are like, "Yeah, $32 million in cap, let's go!" And I'm just like, dude, you're gonna end up spending it. And they're like, "Oh, go ahead, Bills, spend your money, spend it on Allen and White. You're not gonna have any money in the next couple of years." Like, dude, why are you so concerned about what the Bills do?
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Your own team is suffering.
Right.
Why aren't you talking about that?
Right. Well, the Jets wanted to fire Adam Gase after year 1. And even better is like, did any of you guys catch? It was last year in November when someone actually flew a banner that said "Fire Adam Gase" right over the stadium during a game.
Oh gosh.
Yep. And Jet fans still want to keep the guy around.
It's like, why? I mean, you got that Todd Bowles because he sucks as a head coach, and then you decided, on day 1, when you fire Todd Bowles and Adam Gase got fired from the Dolphins, you're like, "Oh, Adam Gase is our new coach. Bring him right in." It's like, we'll give him whatever we want. And then what happens now, not even a year later, you already want him gone. What does that tell you about their management?
Oh, yeah, that's the Jets in a fucking nutshell. Oh, and I should also mention this, too, is that Woody Johnson is a piece of shit. He's a racist piece of shit.
Well,
Did anybody see that?
I am too.
Yeah, did you see that article, Tom?
Yeah, that is screwed up. I mean, come on.
You see that, Sean?
No, I didn't see anything. Is there a link to it?
I believe there is. There's an article from, I think it was from Forbes.com, or it was spread all around them, White Post or whatever, about, I think it was like a week or two ago when we were supposed to shoot, but we didn't do it. I was going to bring it up, but I'm doing it now, is apparently Woody Johnson is being accused for being a sexist, and he's also being accused for being a racist, and not to mention he's the ambassador for the United States to the UK, and on top of all that, he apparently treats women that are working for him like shit.
Yeah. So actually, it's I'm going to put this in our group chat, but I do have the link here for it. And one of the things that I can tell you is that CBS Sports actually covered this quite a bit. But what happened is that New York Jets owner Woody Johnson was investigated by the State Department watchdog over allegations that he made inappropriate comments to some of his staff while serving as the U.S. ambassador to the United Kingdom. How the hell do you get that job? But apparently he's had that since 2017. So one of the big accusations that ended up coming out is that he made racist generalizations about black men and questioned why the black community celebrates Black History Month. And then another person in the State Department also ended up mentioning that Woody Johnson would make, quote, cringeworthy remarks about women. And also basically talked about how the staff struggled to get him on board for an event where he was trying to celebrate International Women's Day. So basically, when Woody Johnson was questioned about it, he didn't address anything. He denied it and just said, oh, I didn't do anything. And apparently, he also claims he's following all the ethical rules and the requirements. But here's another thing that came out about Johnson. So he was also accused of trying to convince the British government to put a future Open Championship at Trump's resort in Scotland. And then that somehow came out. And then apparently the Jets ended up writing their own statement where they talked about they're aware of allegations. And they called him Ambassador Johnson. They actually went by his government title instead of calling him owner Woody Johnson. But apparently the State Department's supporting him, but the team right now is basically stating that right is right, wrong is wrong. And Jamal Adams is actually the big person that's basically putting the feet right to the fire. And he's basically telling Woody Johnson, hey, stand up and be a man and admit that you're screwed up. So that's basically what's happening. So apparently, I guess he tried to bribe something, and then apparently he ended up getting into some other stuff. So, I mean, you know, the thing is, guy's a piece of crap. He always has been.
Basically. I mean, oh, and by the way, that Jackets Lightning game is having a quote-unquote rain delay. I guess it's because the game has been going on for so damn long.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And then our friend Ryan Coggill, he's basically, he actually might jump on in a moment, but he was actually saying that he absolutely loves seeing what we're talking about right now, and he says that Woody Johnson's a piece of crap also.
Hey, I don't fucking blame him, to be honest with you. I mean, what more can you do? Oh, so speaking of the Buffalo Bills, did you see the comments that Nate Burleson said on NFL Network this past week?
No, go ahead. Tell everybody about it.
He basically called Josh Allen Mr. Big Arms, and then he called Stephon Diggs Mr. Big Catch.
What?
Yeah, so that's that. So he basically complimented Josh Allen's arm strength. And apparently, speaking of Josh Allen, he's trying to set up a virtual face-off with Patrick Mahomes as to who could throw the ball, a football the longest. Because people are saying, oh, Josh Allen can't do it because of his accuracy. And I'm just like, that's not what this argument is about. It's about who could throw the ball the furthest. It's not about accuracy, for God's sakes.
Right.
Wow.
Besides, Mahomes would own him.
I don't know about that. I mean, if Patrick Mahomes is that cocky, then I think Josh Allen would probably win. I really believe he would. Because Patrick Mahomes, like 3 years ago, he was like, I'm humble and whatever. But ever since he won the Super Bowl, and ever since he got paid that $500 million or whatever the number was,
Yeah, for like 10
he's
years.
like, I'm the best player in the world. I mean, yeah, Josh Allen's nothing. He can do whatever he wants. I mean, he's just being cocky about it. So what are you gonna do about that?
Right.
Really?
And of course, Allen definitely has that big arm. I mean, there's no questioning how far, what he can do with it.
Well,
Yeah,
I just
for
can't wait
sure.
till we shut him. I just can't wait till we shut his mouth in the season.
Oh yeah. Well, that would be a fun matchup.
Oh, yeah.
It really would be. I mean, and then even I'm kind of thinking about some of the stuff with I'd have to look back at the schedule, but if we were to face Lamar Jackson again, I would love that matchup. I would love that matchup.
I know, man, especially from last year when we were this close.
We're that close. We were that close.
The only team last year to have been this close to beating the Ravens.
Right. And the Ravens were a dominating team all year.
Yeah.
And we were the only AFC team that didn't get our ass handed by them.
No. Man.
Yeah, really.
That's tell you.
Yeah.
And
sure.
guys, we actually have a special guest joining us now. So I wanted to welcome aboard. We got Ryan Coggill joining us here in the Lions Den.
Yep. Welcome to the Lions Den.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey.
Good.
How's
Good.
it?
I'm here.
Nice. So
Bob! I'm kidding.
oh man, so it's actually your first time on this show, although we've done other shows together with you. So, definitely first welcome. It only took you 7 weeks to get here, but it's all good.
Thank you. Yeah, I was out. I knew that you guys were doing the show tonight, but I was out on a walk, and I came back, and I was like, oh my God, they're doing the show, and I thought it would screw up the screens, but Tom, you said that it wouldn't, so.
No, that was Ryan Thomas who botched up the screens the one time we tried that from his own channel that nobody follows.
I love all of you, I have to say. Tom's, though, obviously my favorite.
Yeah.
Cities.
Yeah.
All of your back.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, welcome to Buffalo After Dark, Ryan. Well, we get to see you more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get to the balls a little bit.
I am officially a college graduate now, so I am
Nice.
I'm just searching for jobs right now, so I can do a lot more. I'm looking to get back to recording here soon. So
Nice.
I wanted to talk some Buffalo Sabres and some hockey. I think Columbus is going into its 5th overtime right now.
Oh my God.
Oh.
That keeps still going on, and it started at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, it is absolutely crazy.
Oh.
So,
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
we essentially played 2 games.
Yeah.
But I'm here because I heard you guys were talking football. So
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So we're still in it, but just quick update. Toronto is beating Miami 4-1 in the top of the 8th.
Yeah. Breaking news. The Mets are still a fucking shit show.
Yeah, we already knew that.
And the Yankees are dominating as usual.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, the Mets had a pretty shitty weekend, to be honest with you. I mean, Yoenis Cespedes opts out, and he's like, oh, I don't feel good. He doesn't even tell the team where he's going. And then there was a leaked picture online the other day that he's at a strip club, and then he's at the mall, and he's just running away with all the money. So he's pretty much done as a Met. And then Marcus Stroman did the same thing. He just opts out, and then that's pretty much it. I mean, it just pretty much shows the Mets are a fucking shit show, and I cannot stand them. I mean, I'm a big Met fan, but it's just like, it's ludicrous how so many people just now are opting out. And it's just like what do you do with that? Like, Brody Van Wagenen in, like, December was like, oh, we have the best rotation in all of baseball. Thor's done for the year. The only player worth a damn on that rotation is DeGrom. Stroman just opted out. Steven Matz sucks now. So Michael Wacha is below average. So it's just, oh, my God. I mean, I can't deal with it.
I avoid this by not being a fan of baseball. So I'm trying. I'm honestly trying now that Buffalo has, after 105 years, a major league team. I am attempting to get into baseball, but I mean, hockey, 82 games in a season is enough for me. I cannot imagine like 160 something plus games for a baseball season. So for those of you, I mean, I know that you guys are baseball fans. So first off, God bless you.
Yeah,
I can't put myself through that much torture, but
At least we're not Miami Marlins fans, because their fans are absolute torture.
Oh, God. The Mets lost to the Marlins just a couple days ago. Let's not bring up the Marlins.
But in either case, though, so Ryan, when you came in, we were actually talking a little bit about Stephon Diggs. We went over like some of the wide receiver projections, obviously, and then I know you've got some stuff that you want to talk about also. So go for it, man. It's free for all.
Well, the one thing that I really wanted to talk about is because now the NCAA, or I don't know if it was confirmed or if it's rumors, or that they're looking to move college football to the spring.
Yes, I heard that.
Yeah. So the problem with that obviously is that's when the draft is for the NFL draft. We already know that there's a bunch of college football players that have already opted out of the college football season and have now been able to focus on training. And so the thing that I wanted to discuss and get your guys' thoughts on is, how is this going to affect the NFL? Because essentially these guys that are choosing to opt out, first off, if you're eligible for the draft this year and you're choosing to opt out, I think this is the best thing that could possibly happen from a standpoint of keeping players healthy, because you're not playing a season. You're not playing games. Obviously, you can still get injured while you're training and doing other things. But if you are having a lot of stars, so say guys like Justin Fields, start opting out of the season and start just going to train for the NFL draft and get ready, how much, obviously you don't get that extra tape, or teams don't get that extra season of tape, but how much is that going to affect bringing healthy players, guys that literally are not playing the game for a year? I mean, we saw, for example, like Le'Veon Bell sat out a year, and we saw how explosive he was just out of the still crappy Jets, or behind the still crappy Jets offensive line. So how is a lot of these players opting out going to affect the NFL draft? Because I think it's going to dramatically change a lot of teams' plans going forward for this upcoming draft. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that, because that's my thinking.
That's a good question. I mean, if you're asking me straightforward, I think it kills the value of some of these players. Like if we're talking about stats, and we're talking about playing time, and we're talking about just all around revenue in terms of, for the sport and for the league as a whole. Like if you look at the PAC, and if you look at the Big Ten, and if you look at all those leagues, they're all going down a level. It's like, well, there's no competition. And if 2/3 of the country are not going to play football, it kills all of the value for all these prospects, specifically guys like Trevor Lawrence and Trey Lance, whatever his name is, out of North Dakota State, one of the premier quarterbacks coming up in the draft. It's going to kill their value, because by that point, the whole chart can pretty much change right after that. And then everybody that's trying to scout these players are just secondhand guessing as to what they would want to do, especially for those who don't watch a lot of college football, and they want to have a good evaluation about some of these guys. But the problem is, without those games, you can't really evaluate them unless you're looking at like stats from like 2 years ago.
Right. And I think that's what they're going to end up having to do. Tom, not to cut you off, but I think that's what they're going to end up having to do is they're going to have to do a deeper dive on a lot of these guys' film from last year, from the years before, and look more at their stats. And Bobby, like you said, they're going to end up having to draft these guys pretty much guessing. But I think the other aspect, the other side to that is they're not playing games and they're not risking injuries that they otherwise would be. So you have the potential to get healthier guys, and these guys can literally come in not off of the football season, but healthier, more aware of what's going on with the world, with the league, and possibly contend more so for a starting job than if they had played the season before.
Right. It's true point. But then on the flip side also, especially if you're going to have college football in the spring, and especially with the draft time when it comes up every year, the one issue you have to be careful for, especially if you're going to be a QB or a running back or even a wide receiver in some cases, is that you have to be careful on the injuries, because then a lot of times I look at it on that side where if you're in one of those positions primarily, of course, a lot of times you're going to have the running game and so forth. If you're in one of those positions and you blow an ACL, you just tanked yourself in the draft. Yeah. And then on top of it, you don't have as much time to recover from it, because you have to figure playing in the spring, and then you only have maybe like 3-4 months before the regular season starts, instead of usually it's going to be a minimum of 6, then that's the other flip side you have to kind of think about also. And especially with some of the QBs that are projected to come out, especially with, we're seeing more and more they're adopting the running style, kind of similar to what Lamar Jackson does, Josh Allen does. Even going further back, like Vince Young, he was one of the first that ended up doing that. And even same thing with Michael Vick. I mean, we're seeing more of these QBs doing that, especially, and there's more chances that you can blow an ACL or have a more catastrophic injury that's going to take you out. Robert Griffin III, perfect example. He should have never played in that playoff game, and Shanahan was a dumbass to do that.
But you have to remember, that wasn't his choice, though. That wasn't his choice, right, if he wanted to play that game or not.
Right. And then what happens is RG3 goes in there, basically destroys the ACL, and that was it. I mean, he made it through, I think, like 2.5 quarters, and then at the time, they ended up having to go to their backup. So, and I don't think RG3's ever really recovered from that either, because you look at how everything went, and then the Redskins decided to go with, oh, wait a minute, I thought, oh, yeah, that's not politically correct. Screw that. Anyways, the Redskins decided to basically go ahead, and they ended up bringing in Alex Smith, because at the time, it was Alex Smith and Mahomes. So, of course, KC ended up having to get rid of the quarterback, so they sent Smith to the Redskins. And then what happens, of course, he has that gruesome leg injury, which apparently Alex Smith is fully 100% clear to play now.
No idea. No idea how he rebounded from that.
Yeah.
No idea how he has rebounded from that. That should have been a career-ending injury. He should have
lost his leg.
Yeah.
He almost lost a leg because of the infection, and then, of course, everything else that happened. I mean, I am surprised he's even cleared to play, because I would have never thought in a million years that would have happened.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect them to play either. That's a bit of a problem.
I can see maybe backup or a practice QB, but I do not see him getting a starter role again in this league. I just don't see it happening.
No, not a chance. But you know what, though? To be fair, as far as the college players go, all the NCAA has pretty much told everybody, go get jobs. Same thing in the CFL. But if there is one thing, and Sean and I have been waiting to talk about this, if there's one league that's above the other that has an advantage of playing in the fall, who is it, Sean?
If you smell what The Rock is buying. XFL.
XFL, my man. So, of course, this was big news earlier. It was actually last week. Dwayne Johnson, a.k.a. The Rock, a.k.a. People's Champion. He actually bought the XFL, and he teamed up with his ex-wife, and he also got some creditors, and basically decided to go ahead, buy the XFL. And basically, the creditors decided not to object to the sale, so The Rock owns a football league.
For $15
million. That's chump change to The Rock.
Well, he's making over $100 million a year. You can afford to spend 15 and have no problem.
You know what the crazy thing is? Literally, as I was getting ready to come on with you guys, I had Twitter open, and this is the exact. I saw this tweet saying exactly what we're saying now. That if there is any league that should be waiting to see what's going to happen with the NCAA and see, because if they choose to play in the spring, and like we said, a lot of these players choose to opt out, they could end up going to the XFL, or even if they don't play, the XFL should consider the possibility of playing and implementing. I mean, we saw how forward thinking they were, obviously prior under different ownership, but I have a feeling that even under The Rock, that's still not going to change. So I think the XFL, first off, I loved the XFL. I don't know what changes are coming in. I never had a team. Bobby really wanted to get me into New York, but I never formally had a team, although I was kind of partial to the Battlehawks, but that's besides the point. If there's anybody that could possibly do it, I think with the way that it was set up before, and I think with some additional, now obviously the reality being COVID, with a couple of changes, I think the XFL would be poised to listen, COVID killed it, but COVID could also be what saves it.
True.
At the same time. It's literally the craziest thing to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, our friend Trevor Howard says go Vipers, so we know where his allegiance stands.
Yeah. You know what's really funny, too, is that it's funny what Ryan just said. It reminds me of so much. Remember Thor Ragnarok?
Yes.
Okay. You know the part, I forget her name. I've never seen the movie, but I've seen the meme. Where the villain of the movie is like, you can't defeat me. And then in the back, it's Thor, but it's Vince McMahon's face, and it says, I know, but he can. And then instead of the Hulk, it's the Rock. He's like, ah! And he's just coming out. And I'm just like, that is the best meme I've seen since the XFL came back. So
and
that was
how the XFL came back.
Yeah.
The NFL needs it as competition, number one, and number two is just, I mean, this, like, the second go around for the XFL, much better than the first. I mean, just the style of play is so much better than what we had in the early 2000s when Vince McMahon started the league. I mean, it evolves so much. And then some of the things, look at what the NFL is trying to do, how they're now trying to start to model themselves more along the lines of the XFL. That tells you something. That means that the XFL is serious competition and the NFL is aware of it. So it's huge. But I would love to see the XFL, potentially expand into some other cities. And I would love to see some additional players come out because, I mean, it can really be a good showcase for some of that college and high school talent that's ready to get there, but maybe not necessarily jump into the NFL, or for players that are looking to jump out of the NFL and go to a different league where they can have more opportunities. So I'm glad that it's back.
Yeah. And I'll admit I did like the first rendition of the XFL, but this second one much better. You still got the hard hitting action, but you got these new safety these safety measures that, where the players don't try to get injured during the kickoff and all that stuff. And you know what? This is way better. And now the question remains: will they have a 2021 season or wait till 2022?
Right. And the one thing I constantly hear is Johnson is willing to do a bubble city for just a year until it's like fully clear, because again, they don't get the keys officially until next Friday. So August 21st is when Danny Garcia and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson get the keys to the XFL. And for me, that's a huge sign, because they've been both said on Twitter, we want to do some great things with this league, and there's a lot of potential here. But one thing, I mean, how many of you, just out of curiosity, how many of you in the show are fans of the show Hard Knocks?
Oh, yeah. I've definitely enjoyed watching it.
Okay, well, the XFL is looking into doing a knockoff of Hard Knocks, but with the XFL on HBO.
That'd be cool.
I would totally watch that.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. And even better, just the day after the Johnson, or I'm going to call them the Johnson because they were once married, so fuck it. So the Johnsons also got a note just from the tip of a hat that the mayor of Birmingham, Alabama, that's in the Midwest, of course, the city county council, they actually sent out a pamphlet to the XFL asking them to do an expansion team in Alabama, in Birmingham, to bring either back the Bolts or come up with a different name of the team. So it's very clear that Danny Garcia and Dwayne Johnson want to expand the team. But the only other question now is, are the teams going to stay where they are, or are they going to relocate a few teams? Because there has been some speculation the Guardians might move out of MetLife Stadium and move to Red Bull Arena.
I mean, that wouldn't be a bad move for them because, I mean, Red Bull Stadium being a smaller, stadium, I think it's only 20 or 30,000 seats. I mean, it might be a better spot for them, honestly. And then you still figure, I mean, with where Red Bull Stadium is versus MetLife, it's going to be easier for people from New York City to get to it because you can take the PATH train right there. I mean, it's going to work out fairly well. And this is the one thing. I mean, I would love to see the fan bases, expand with all these teams. Talking about your point with Birmingham, I mean, they were one of the original XFL cities, and of course they had a team back then. I would love to see the XFL go back there. And in all honesty, they actually had a pretty good draw of crowds when they were in the first version of the XFL down there. I mean, Birmingham was a pretty good city. I know San Antonio has been rumored as a city where they have the Alamo Dome there still, and it's a football stadium, and that has roughly 40 to 50,000 seats in there. So, I mean, that, even though the San Antonio Spurs moved out of that building a long time ago, I mean, it's still relatively a newer stadium. So it is something where, I mean, that stadium could actually do very well for the XFL. It could actually be like a showplace kind of place. And then you figure with everywhere else, I would love to see maybe 2 additional teams come into the XFL right away and then just gradually expand, but not dilute the product.
Well, if they're going to do that, they would have to pick the teams now and then play the season in February. Because, listen, I know that the league has been on a hiatus for 4 or 5 months, but the only problem I have with the XFL is how are they supposed to play the games in such a short notice? Really think about it. When does college football start? Late September, early October?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
Okay, so how is the XFL supposed to get those games going on such a short notice? Like, because if that were to be the case, then they would have to play in one city and then have all the games being played out of random, like the NHL is. Not random, but like they would have to be like, okay, one team plays at 1 o'clock, another plays at like 4, another team plays at like 8, or so on and so forth, or even do something like 2 games on a Saturday or 2 games on a Sunday or something crazy like that, but play it within in one city, if not 2. Like the NHL is doing 2 hub cities. The XFL should consider doing one of their own. Like do maybe one in like Los Angeles or something like that, and then maybe another one in like St. Louis, because the Battlehawks were doing really, really well in terms of fanhood and then season tickets, etc. I was actually before COVID, I was actually convincing myself to get $800 worth of tickets for season tickets for the Guardians before COVID, and I was actually going to go to the last 2 games before COVID. So COVID pretty much ruined everybody's plans, but the XFL can never die. That's the thing about the XFL. It can never die, especially now.
Well, the thing with the XFL is I'm assuming that they're probably going to keep a lot of the same structure that was already there before. So I'm assuming that the general managers and the coaches and the coaching staff and a lot of the players that were on the roster prior to closing down of operations for the XFL, if they went on to the NFL and if they're still available, will probably revert back, and then you would obviously fill in a few roster spots. So that would take care of the fact that you're probably going to save a lot of time with having to find coaches, find GMs, find staff, find players to fill out the roster, because obviously none of the games don't happen unless those things are filled. So I'm assuming that's what's going to happen, and then a lot of time is going to be saved. To Bobby's point, and also Tom's, there was some rumor about places like San Antonio, and I think they were going to move the Renegades, out of Dallas into San Antonio. So they were going to relocate a team versus expand a team. I know that Birmingham was actually in the conversation about expansion during the season.
Yes.
The XFL was going to continue. So, I mean, for one thing, for me, my favorite part of the XFL was the kickoff. Honestly, I thought it was, as a fan of Pat McAfee, and kickers and punters are people too. I think that the kickoff for the XFL, I thought it was the sexiest thing that I've seen in a long time. I think it works, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm assuming that that's either what's going to happen. But to Sean's point, what if they just wait a second? It's probably going to be more likely the day by day that we get closer. I mean, it's mid-August now. It's about mid-August. So you're heading into September. They're probably going to wait a season, because even with retaining a lot of the head coaches and the coaching staff and the teams, the rosters and stuff, and filling those out, even with that, chewing up a lot of the time, or not chewing up a lot of the time, I should say, you're pretty much there. You're pretty much at September. You can't wait for the NCAA. You can't wait for, Pac-12 to, reverse decisions and stuff like that. So they're probably going to end up waiting an entire season to get off the ground, which from a business standpoint, probably not smart, but also smart because, again, COVID, like Bobby said, COVID kind of throws a curveball, to use a baseball reference, into everybody's plans. So it could hurt the XFL, but also it could not hurt the XFL.
Right. I mean, at the same time, though, to his point, where you're going to have maybe 1 or 2 bubble cities, it could also be a perfect opportunity to see where the XFL could possibly survive and actually do very well in different markets. So one possibility that we could always look at is, for example, use Birmingham, Alabama as one of the bubble cities again, because they had an XFL team there for a while. Then we could look at somewhere on the West Coast, and maybe we could, or like mid-country, and maybe do San Antonio, which was one of the other rumored spots. You have the dome there. You're going to have the fans. You could always do something along that nature, or you could possibly look at going into SoCal and maybe do something at the old Qualcomm, where or San Diego, where they had the Chargers there for a long time. They're missing football. Half their fans are not going to follow them to LA. So, of course, with the Chargers having moved, but it's something where it opens up some opportunities where you could get some additional fans looking at the teams again, and you could get some more interest in football. So I mean, I would totally be open to seeing those two areas as bubble cities. Would I put it in Florida? Hell no. Would I put it down like Alabama and some of those smaller markets where football is going to be huge, especially the college game, and they want to see more? Absolutely. Do it.
I mean, it really depends. I mean, how many expansion teams that the XFL wants to go. I mean, I've heard as early as 8 because they were saying that they're going to do 8 here and then do 8 more down the road. So I would suspect probably like maybe 2022, I would say would probably see 8 more expansion teams in the XFL. And to their credit, this would probably be the largest group of teams that either version of the XFL has ever expanded upon, because both of them have had 8 teams at minimum, but if they were to expand to 8 more, it would be the largest one they've ever accomplished that.
Yeah, and knowing that Danny and his team investing all that money into the XFL, knowing that they have the money to do it and knowing that they have the backing to do it, I could totally see him pulling it off.
Yeah, I mean, he's the highest paid actor in the world.
Oh, yeah.
To Bobby's point, though, 2022, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but that also depends if they have a season now, a 2020, 2021 season, or even a 21 season, because I think at this point, the XFL, both iterations of it, have only existed for one season. The Rock is probably going to be smart. You're probably not going to see any expansion teams until they hit a second or maybe even a third season. That's not even – I mean, you're going to start seeing actual talk 2 or 3 seasons in. They're not going to do one season and then go ahead and expand, especially not another 8 teams, because you've just doubled the league at that point.
Right. I mean, I could see it being 4 and 4, maybe do something along that nature where you have maybe 4 teams one year, then do like another 4 teams like the following year. I could see that happening. I mean, and to your point, Ryan, I mean, look at what the NWHL did. I mean, they've been very slow on expanding, but when they have expanded, they've only done maybe 1 or 2 teams at a time, because what they want to do is, I mean, it's still a smaller market, you know, and I'm not sure how we came up with this, but the National Women's Hockey League, I mean, yeah, it's doing well. I mean, they've been controlling everything pretty well also, but they've also not been wanting to basically crap out the product. They want to keep it as a good hockey product. So basically with them only keeping it small and only expanding 1 or 2 teams a season every couple of years, it is a good way to keep the rosters fresh. You see players moving around, and then at the same time, it's not like over expanding to the point where the league's going to be in bad shape. I mean, they've actually been in pretty good shape the entire time that they've been around.
Breaking news: the Tampa Bay Lightning just beat the Columbus Blue Jackets in 5 overtimes.
Whoa! That game only went for 6 hours, almost 6.5 hours.
Pretty sure that.
Holy crap!
Yep.
Those players' legs must be all kinds of tired right now.
They have to be.
I can't imagine.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of them are taking the IV fluids at this point either.
Right.
I remember that happened that time we had the 4 overtimes and we ended up having that goal. And I remember it was either Dave Hannon or Howard Chuck ended up having to take the IV because of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure who scored that goal. I would have to guess it's probably like Killorn. I mean, my TV is sideways at the moment, so I'm trying to figure out who scored that goal. But yeah, so to the point of the XFL, I think they were able to accommodate some business. It looks like it was Victor Hedman who took the shot.
Okay. Proven goal scorer.
Yep, that's definitely Hedman.
Tampa Bay ended the game with 88 shots on goal.
No, sorry, not Brayton. That wasn't Hedman. It was Brayton Point. Sorry.
Okay.
I apologize. It was Brayton Point.
88 shots on goal. That's insane.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so it's now officially the 4th longest game in NHL history.
Wow.
4th longest?
4th longest ever.
Oh, gosh. I don't even want to know what the longest was.
Right.
Well, I can do the research for you.
We can find out.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Let me take what you were saying before and let's flip it. So we were talking about the expansion for the XFL and expansion for NWHL. That's obviously a different conversation when you talk about expanding the NFL and expanding the NHL. I want to get your guys' opinions on NHL expansion, because I think, and don't get me wrong, I like the fact that they put a team in Seattle. I like that they put a team in Las Vegas. But did they potentially screw up expansion?
No.
Because I think I think the way that they did it, I think if they wanted to do it correctly, I think they should have done both of the teams at the same time versus one. Because if you did that, then I guarantee you Las Vegas does not make the playoffs in their first year and get all the way to the finals. I think from a standpoint of talent, and I think from a standpoint of being able to essentially, I mean, obviously there are protected players and stuff like that, but I think from the standpoint of looking at the rosters and looking at building a roster like that, I think what they should have done is Vegas and Seattle and possibly even a third team. I know that Houston's been the big talk, but so possibly 2 or 3 teams, at least multiple teams competing for multiple different players going into the expansion draft. And I know that I've had this conversation before on my own podcast with my co-host Cody. So I wanted to get your guys' opinions on that just because we were talking about it. Because from the standpoint of leagues like the XFL, the NWHL, it's probably smart that they're only doing 1, maybe 2 teams at a time. But when you're talking about the NHL specifically right now, because they are the ones that are actively expanding, do we flip that conversation on its head and say they should be doing 2, 3, 4 expansion teams at a time?
Well,
why not?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go that many teams at a time. And actually, I think we saw a little bit of that back in the early and mid 90s when there was a huge expansion in the NHL. I mean, you have to look at San Jose was added. Both Florida teams were added, the Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. You look at Nashville, that was added. Minnesota was added back to the NHL after they had moved to Dallas. Then you have to figure a lot of those teams were right in that time period between the early to late 90s and early 2000s. So there was a lot of expansion in that time. And I think what happened is that the league, to an extent, overexpanded in that time period because I think some of the talent went downhill in terms of the product. When you look at the actual product of what was going on at the time, I think that it watered it down. You weren't seeing as good of play as what you would normally have. And for a time period, the league suffered, I think, and that's in my opinion. But when they ended up slowing down the expansion, they allowed the teams to finally develop who they have, then we started to see everything improve. And I think now with the NHL doing what they've been over the last several years, where they're only doing maybe one team a year, as we saw with Vegas most recently, and now Seattle coming up in another year. I mean, I think they're being more careful not to overexpand and cause problems where you have expansion teams that absolutely suck for the first 5 years. I mean, look what happened with Vegas in the draft. They ended up drafting everybody, and they took everybody that teams didn't want. They wanted to get rid of all these contracts, so Vegas is like, hey, we'll go ahead and we'll take them. And George McPhee had no problem doing that. I mean, as GM. And then, of course, Gerard Gallant did a great job coaching them their first year and a half, and they get to the Stanley Cup Finals. I was actually, in a lot of senses, I was actually hoping that Vegas would have won the Cup because, I mean, in a sense, it's kind of like oh, hey, screw you, they're an expansion team, so they ended up getting it. But at the same time, that team was coached well enough to do it. I mean, I think had they had maybe 1 or 2 more pieces, they would have absolutely gotten there. And even now, even though Vegas took a little bit of a step back in their second year, which of course we knew was going to happen, they still played fairly well, and they've been continuing to play well. So normally, I will never like anything that Bettman does, but I do like one thing that Bettman did here, and that is he wants the teams to be competitive right away. That finally, Gary Bettman actually did a smart thing for the first time ever in his career, and wanting the teams to actually be competitive right off the bat. So would I have expanded as quickly? No, I wouldn't have. Do I think some of the markets are questionable? Absolutely. I think Carolina is still questionable, and I think Florida, the Florida Panthers are still very questionable because they don't have the draw that other teams will have. But would it be possible in the future? Maybe we see like the Florida Panthers move to Houston, or do we see Carolina possibly move to Quebec and restart that whole Quebec Nordiques versus the Montreal Canadiens rivalry? I'll tell you, back in the day when I was a kid, I loved Quebec versus Montreal. That was probably one of the absolute best rivalries that anybody could have ever watched. And one of the things I can tell you, if you ever want to see like one of the biggest massacres on the ice, look at the Mayday fight that happened back in the early 80s, because I mean, it was just insane how many penalty minutes were thrown out. It was insane how many people were actually thrown out of the game on top of it.
Well, so I'm a partial Hartford Whalers fan. I don't think that the way that the league's going, I don't think that they're ever going to go back. I don't think that you're ever going to see a team go back to Hartford. But I would like to explore the possibility of, instead of an expansion team, I think you're right. I think for a lot of these leagues, I mean, there's really so few places that you can realistically expand. Obviously, at the end of the day, they're all businesses. And so you're going to want to expand into quote unquote big markets. And they've essentially, the NHL, the NFL, MLB, they've essentially done that. So you're going to start expanding into more medium and smaller sized markets. So I think that it would be great to explore moving a team out of the East. I think literally moving any team out of the East would be great. But moving a team out of the East and moving it to Houston. But do you guys have, just really quick for a fun thing, do you guys have, realistic or unrealistically, a city or a place that you would like to see the NHL put a team, or that you think benefit from one? Because I have one, but I want to hear you.
Yeah, I have one right off the bat, Quebec City. I would love to see a team go back there. They have an arena that's only like 5 years old. It's NHL standard. That city absolutely loved that team, and they support hockey day in and day out. They absolutely support the junior leagues that they have up there. I would love to see a team go back up there and restart that huge rivalry. That would definitely be my number one choice. And actually, just to kind of throw you in, here's a little fun fact. So basically the Good Friday Massacre, which happened in 1985, that was Montreal versus Quebec. And this was actually a game that was played in Montreal at the old Forum. You want to take a guess at how many penalties were issued just in the second period?
There was at least 500, and I actually asked Clinton Malarchuk that question not too long ago. So he was like, I didn't really get to fight out there. I was just a 21-year-old kid, and I was just told, don't pick any fights with anybody.
Yeah. In the second period alone, 22 penalties between both teams. That's just in the second period. The third period only had one penalty, and that was a 2-minute tripping. It's like, who gives a crap about that? But literally, the first period, there was 11 penalties. Then you had 22 in the second period. And basically every single penalty that was in the second, or at least half the penalties in the second period alone, were either roughing, fighting, or game misconducts.
Yeah. I believe Sean and I were going to say something, but you guys were hugging it out over there about expansion.
You guys were both on your phones. I can see you. I wasn't born yesterday, and I definitely wasn't born on a turnip truck. So
we were just waiting for you guys to finish. So we were just trying to be like, yeah, we have an opinion too,
I have an opinion. It was just something that popped into my head to ask.
Okay. Yeah. Just real quick, final stat on that. So with that Good Friday Massacre game, 252 penalty minutes, 11 players were ejected, and basically from there, Hamel actually ended up having to return to training camp the following year, but he ended up with another eye injury, so he was pretty much done. That ended his career.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if you heard us earlier on the show, Brian, but Sean did say that he's a Seattle Kraken fan.
You're a Seattle Kraken fan?
I am. Thanks to Buffalo Bob here.
Nice. My co-host Cody, he's a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, so that's where we get the name for our podcast, the Rivalry Podcast, because I'm a Maple Leafs fan.
How's your co-host been doing lately?
He's good. Actually, he just moved back up to Buffalo, and so we're now in the same state, because before I was in Pennsylvania for college, he was in Florida. We both kind of moved back to Buffalo within a couple months of each other. But he just jokingly texted me that he was done with hockey. Obviously, we all know Toronto was eliminated. But he texted me he was done with hockey, and then he was like, oh, I'm a Seattle Kraken fan. And I was like, are you actually a Seattle Kraken fan? And he was like, no, I'm too emotionally invested into the team. But it's great to know that you're a Seattle Kraken fan. I'm excited to see what they do with the team. I like the jersey. I like everything that they've done with it so far. So
me too.
And this is coming from somebody who was never even into hockey at the time. And at the time, I'm still somewhat of a Sabres fan. I still got a Sabres jersey, but you know what? It's like I told Bob, I wanted to have I wanted to have a West Coast team to be a fan of because all the sports teams that I'm a fan of, they're all from the East because I'm from the East. So I wanted to switch it up for a change.
Yeah, you're a born and bred Brooklyner.
Yep.
And to make it feel better, because I think it opened up Sean's heart a little bit about the Kraken. I don't know if it went through when we were talking, Sean, but you see the post I sent you about the broadcasting booth?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. And apparently right here, and I want to read it to you, unless you want to read it. It's up to you entirely.
I can pull it up real quick. You sent it through Twitter, right?
I sent it to you on Facebook.
On Facebook. Let me get it real quick. Let's see.
It's okay, guys. It'll take 2 minutes. Yeah, but while he's doing that, I'm very happy for him that he actually decided on actually picking the team.
That is pretty cool, and it'll be fun to follow them to see exactly what they're going to do out west. I mean, I could just see them in LA having a big rivalry, or even
Vancouver,
Vegas having a big rivalry.
Yeah, it's gonna.
I see Seattle, Vancouver, since they're that close to each other.
Yeah, that too. That would be a fun one to watch. Actually, That's one of the short places on my list. I would love to see that. The game is up in Vancouver.
I was just thinking too, like Seattle to Vancouver is like Buffalo to Toronto.
Exactly.
Yeah, less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got, Sean?
I had to reinstall freaking Messenger.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You deleted it because you were, quote, done with social media.
At the time, yeah.
Yeah, no wonder why I was able to barely reach you until now.
Yeah.
But
Hey, real quick update. The Blue Jays choked because the Miami actually came back, and now it's tied 4-4 at the bottom of the ninth with 1 out.
wait, you're telling me the Jays lost to the Marlins?
Well, no, it's the bottom of the ninth inning, but they actually gave up 4 runs. So now it's
my
4-4.
God. You can't be serious.
Yeah.
The curse of playing.
Yeah. And get this, Boxberger's on the mound.
Oh, God.
The curse of playing in the city of Buffalo.
Yeah. And we're probably going to go into the 10th now that we're looking at it. Yeah, actually, we are going into the 10th now. We're tied 4. And Forsyth's up next.
Yep, and the Mets are up 2-1. The Mets are down 2-1 to the Nationals in the top of the 8th.
I have a question. Who's the Nationals have on the mound tonight?
Right now, let's take a look. Who's in?
I wasn't sure if Strasburg was playing or if they have someone else in their rotation up.
I can look it up for you real quick. Hang on.
All right, so while he's looking that up, here's the message Bob sent me with the Kraken broadcasting team. The Seattle Kraken have made NHL history by hiring the league's first black team broadcaster in Cincinnati Cyclones play-by-play announcer Everett Fitzhugh. So, hey, history being made here.
There you go. He's actually a good broadcaster too. That's a good pickup by that.
I've never heard his voice. I can't wait to listen.
Yeah, he actually reminds me a lot in Buffalo. I mean, for a long time there was former Buffalo broadcaster Pete Weber who did a lot of the Buffalo Bison's games, and I mean, just really good with how he calls everything. And now he actually calls the Nashville Predators games down there. But I mean, really solid broadcaster. Been around for a long time, but I mean, just really, really good at what he does. Good guy too, actually.
Yeah. And what did you say you wanted to know about who was pitching for the Mets, Tom?
No, for the Nationals.
Oh, for the Nationals. Tonight it was Max Scherzer.
Okay. Oh, that's not bad.
Rick Porcello was in for the Mets, so just to give you an idea. And another thing about the Kraken, too, is there's been reports now that the Kraken will have the same lottery odds as the team with the third worst record at the 2021 NHL Draft. So
they got screwed compared to Vegas.
So basically, it's basically the same treatment the Vegas Golden Knights got almost 4 years ago when they first came into the league. It's basically, if you're an expansion team, here, be shit for one night, even though you didn't play a game yet.
Yeah, really. Oh, yeah. I could just wait until you see some of the deals that some of these teams will be making so Seattle can take all the salary cap off them.
Dude, could you imagine if Seattle got the first overall pick?
Whoa.
Oh, gosh.
I can tell you, the most of the hockey world, they'll basically
I'd be
froze over again. I mean, a lot of the hockey community hated when Vegas got that pick.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of stoked, did you guys see the draft lottery last night with the New York Rangers?
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
I did not.
Oh my fucking god! I was so pissed. For those of you who are watching, some of you may or may not know, my second team is the Islanders, and when I saw the Rangers ball, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?" Because okay, so to give you a brief idea, for those who didn't watch it, Gary Bettman and some slave that was next to him was having a machine where they do the lottery balls, and there's a lot of conspiracy going behind about this. So I want to get to that in a little bit. So they had a set of 8 balls with all the logos on it. You know, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Edmonton, the New York Rangers, Minnesota National, etc. And the next thing you know, they're all in the machine. They drop down, and the guy who was picking up the ball saying, "Okay, Commissioner, can you confirm this is the logo?" Like, we're all like 5 years old. So we see the logo, and the guy that was doing the thing accidentally, in quote, accidentally drops the New York Rangers ball, and it went like that into the machine. And people were saying that it was heavier than the other ones, and they were saying that it's an indication, as of a hint, saying, "Hey, the Rangers are going to win the lottery." And so they do the ball thing or whatever, and next thing you know, towards the end, one ball just goes up, and the ball that won the lottery was the New York Rangers. And then everyone else behind them was just going from like 9 to 15 or something like that.
Whoa.
And Toronto was just this close. They were 98% chance going to win the lottery. And then they hit the edge of the hole where it goes. And then whoop, up goes the New York Rangers. So they're going to draft Alex Lafreniere in October.
Oh, jeez.
I have to say, I honestly, honest to God, I get why they do the draft lottery. It's as a way to deter teams from purposely tanking to get a player. But I have to say, I hate it. It's a horrible system. I do not like it. I think that the NFL's system of determining the draft order for the first round, I think that is a good system. Obviously not perfect. You can go ahead and go, okay, I'm going to tank a system. Or tank a season. But how many times have we seen that happen, and then they never get their crap together because they then have a losing culture? And that's a shot at everybody that says that culture doesn't matter, but obviously the Buffalo Bills have proved them wrong on that. But I think that the NFL system is what the NHL should be using. I don't like the draft lottery system. I think it's stupid. I think a lot of people secretly, or maybe even more vocally like me, just don't like it. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't like it. I don't really care for it. I hate it.
Well, let me ask you this. You know why they do the lottery setup the way it's supposed to be?
Why?
I'll tell you why. Mario Lemieux. That's right. Okay, so let me put it this way. Back in, I think, like 83, my dad's friend was telling me this. And back in, like, 83, when the Islanders just won their 4th cup, the Penguins were already a good team by this point, but they did this on purpose. They traded all their best players throughout the year, and they just went from first to worst in an instant. And then the next thing you know, there was no lottery at the time, and it was based off of who got the worst record. And the Penguins just basically took the easy route and just said, we're going to trade everybody, and they succeeded to do so. And boom, they ended up getting the last pick, and the pick turned out to be Mario Lemieux. So that's why they do the system. And everybody jabs that the Sabres were doing it, but at least with the Sabres, everybody knew they were going to be suck. They were going to suck bad. But the Penguins were good at that point, and then they ended up trading everybody in. They sucked ass. And then the GM at the time was like, okay, I'm just going to tank and get this generational 18-year-old who barely spoke any English at the time.
Yeah, it's essentially, I didn't know that story. Thank you for telling me. But yeah, I get it. It's supposed to be a deterrent to tanking, and I certainly understand that. Obviously, it hasn't worked because, obviously, like you said, Buffalo, we knew was going to suck anyways. But, teams still possibly can attempt to tank and get a top 2 or 3 draft pick. So I don't like this system. I like the NFL system. I think it's just cleaner. I think it's way easier to get it done. And especially looking at the fact that the NHL, not to expand the conversation, but especially looking at the fact that the NHL is looking to grow its global influence and become a better league. I think there's a number of things that the NHL itself needs to do, but I think one of them obviously being the offseason. The NFL has a packed offseason. We're entertained and we're kept involved year-round, and I think that the draft lottery is something that turns a lot of people off to the offseason. One of many things, honest to God, that the NHL should change. and that people have been talking about for the last couple of years, the NHL possibly changing. So I'm not a fan of it. Again, Bobby, I really didn't know that story. It was actually fantastic. Thank you for telling me that. I would have never. I've never heard of it. I don't know if anybody else has heard of it, but I had never heard that story before. But I get it. But at the same time, I think that the NFL's system is just cleaner.
The NFL system is not even close to relevantly trying. All you have to do is just be shit for 4 quarters throughout a whole Sunday and to September to December, and boom, there you go. Congratulations, you're shit. You get the first overall pick. I mean, look, there's already been talk of tanking. I mean, Jacksonville, fucking Indianapolis, New England, Miami, even.
Yeah,
the Jets.
But here's the thing, though. Indianapolis isn't going to tank. That's not – again, we've seen because of Buffalo, we have seen that a lot more teams, when they go and hire these new coaches and go and hire these GMs, are more focused on things like culture. And that's what they got in Frank Reich. They got a guy who also includes that culture. The Colts are almost – if you've been paying attention to the Colts rebuild, they've almost followed the exact same script that McDermott and Bean have been doing with Buffalo. It's almost the exact same script. Jacksonville sucks. Jacksonville's going to suck.
Yeah, they just suck, period.
That's besides the point. But, you go and you look at the fact that Detroit was an absolutely abhorrent team this year, and they didn't get the first pick. They deserve the first pick. Whereas Buffalo, a team that has also sucked for a number of years, is still picking 8th and 9th. We're not going to get – the talent is just so – widespread, and I'm not talking about like it being a plethora, but it's so hit and miss apparently, or it at least seems like it from a Buffalo standpoint. It's so hit and miss with hockey in the NHL that by the time you get to pick 8 and pick 9, you're not picking anybody that's gonna be on the team. I mean, really, look at the past however many GMs and coaches that you want to, pretty much I guess from Lindy Ruff till now. How many guys have made it up? Olofsson has essentially been the only guy or the only prospect that's made it up to the point where we want our prospects to be. But he couldn't even score 5-on-5. He couldn't even score full strength.
Well, it really depends. I mean, it depends. Like you could be a top 3 pick, but it's usually a hit and miss depending on how you develop the players. That's how I look at it.
And you're right. I'm not saying that it's the end all be all. Obviously, up until the last couple of years, Buffalo has had a trash development system. But at the end of the day, by the time you get to pick 8 and pick 9, Buffalo should be up there in the last couple of years. We should have been picking in pick 3 or 4. Obviously, we got Jack and we got Darlene, but we should have been picking higher over the last couple of years than we were. Whereas you now have a team like the Rangers who, suck. But should they be getting the first overall pick? Probably not. Detroit should be getting the first overall pick.
I actually have a big argument about the New York Rangers. And one argument is that as much as I absolutely despise them, they had one of the quickest rebuilds of any team in the league. I think them and the Avalanche have the deepest prospect pool of anybody in the NHL right now. The New York Rangers are literally stacked. I mean, look at Artemi Panarin. Look at Philip Chattel. Look at Igor Shishorkin. Look at fucking Alex Lafreniere. All these guys. The New York Rangers have a really good setup. Capo Cackle's another one. The Rangers are loaded with guys who weren't even projected to go in the first round. I mean, the Rangers got the number 2 pick last year, and now they get the number 1 pick in the fall. So really, it depends on how you draft these guys and how much you are willing to spend. Mika Zibanejad is turning into a star player for the Rangers for many, many years to come. So really, as much as I hate the Rangers, I have to give them credit where credit is due. And Jeff Gordon as well, because Jeff Gordon wouldn't do this when he was with the Bruins as the GM. He didn't do anything with Boston. But now he's doing the same thing he did with the Bruins, but with the Rangers, but except this time it's actually working out for him.
No, I got you there. Actually, we had a couple comments come in, so I actually have the live feed up on my other screen here. So first, of course, Trevor Howard said, "Go Vipers." Brendan Oetkin said, "Cause the Mets suck, Bobby Hansen, the Mets suck.
Cheddar Bob, suck a dick. How about that?
Thanks for watching. And,
He's one of my close friends. I know damn well who you are.
So, hey, we appreciate you watching. Yeah, apparently we actually had, and I'm looking at everything also, we've had almost 200 people watching on Facebook tonight, so.
Good. See, this is what happens, Tom, when you switch to the weekdays.
Yeah, we actually get people watching more. So.
Yeah.
So guess what? We're your Tuesday night. We're your Tuesday night show now.
Yeah. Congratulations, boys.
Yes. Yeah, and actually, it's kind of funny too. We're almost at the end of hour number 2 on this show tonight. So.
Could you imagine? And there's no Vinny. Vinny, get your Italian ass on here.
Yeah, really.
Vinny.
Right.
It only took you guys how long to get me on here?
Yeah, you joined us after hour number 1, so we got an hour with you, and then we had the hour just the 3 of us.
You know what? It's because it's because it moved to a weekday, because my weekends are almost completely, or have been completely shot over the last couple of months, just with college moving online and obviously other things that I'm involved in.
And I know you're
Now, I can actually be here.
Yeah. Well, and plus you do a lot of stuff with I know emergency management and the Navy, all that stuff. So I know you have a pretty busy schedule as it is.
Yeah, and that's all on the weekends. Because I procrastinate, so I keep all my homework. I kept all my homework till the weekend. I mean, it's probably not a good thing to put on record for
I did it.
players to see, but I kept homework off till pretty much the weekend, and then like you said, I'm involved with the Sea Cadets in Buffalo, and so just a bunch of other stuff that's just on the weekend and stuff. But next time, I promise, next Tuesday I will be here for the full time. I will literally write it on my calendar. You guys are now on my schedule for next week.
Nice.
Do you have a calendar?
Yeah.
Do you have a calendar?
I have a big dry erase whiteboard calendar on my wall right above my desk. I will pen you guys in.
Nice.
Well,
yeah.
there you have it.
8 o'clock start until question mark, because we have no predetermined end time on this show.
No, we didn't even know. We didn't even know it was a thing until Ryan showed up.
Right. And then it's like we just go however long we want to go, basically.
I can talk forever.
Yes, we can.
Yeah,
what were you going to say, Ryan? I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think people want to hear me talk forever, but.
No. I mean, all right, as the old saying goes, you play nice with your playmates.
Right. Unless it's that one group that screwed you over twice.
Oh, yeah. Forget them. That's completely irrelevant at this point.
Yeah,
but I do have one last question for everybody before I guess we can wrap up the show for the weekend until next Tuesday, of course, is because of playoffs, who is going to win the cup?
I don't even want to be involved in that conversation.
Who's going to win the cup? If you're not sure, there's a chart in the group chat that I can pull it up for you guys. Just for you guys to see. I know Sean's like, I'm not really sure.
Calling it for Montreal.
Montreal, dude. What the fuck?
It's 2020. Why not?
Yeah, Montreal just lost to the fucking Red Wings. You fucking cop mongrel.
Montreal is the biggest rebuild team for the last 20 years. The only good thing they have is Carey Price.
Yeah, really. But as far as cup, I guess Tom can go first.
All right. I like the Islanders' chances, but I do think Ovi gets another one. So I have to go with the Caps. I think that they've got a lot of depth on that team. Good goaltending. Ovi definitely wants another one. Now that he's got that cup and he has that experience, I could see them making a run for it.
Yeah, I would agree so. I think that's a pretty good statement. What about you, Sean?
You know what? I say screw it. I'm just going with the Golden Knights just because.
Okay, the Golden Knights. What about you, Ryan?
I'm looking at it now. I want to say that it's going to end up being between Colorado and Philadelphia. And I think if Philadelphia can stay healthy, honest to God, and shout out to my friend Brooke, who is a huge Flyers fan, who I always make fun of and who always pokes fun at me. I think the Flyers, if they stay healthy, could go all the way this year. They have been a powerhouse of a team so far in the playoffs. So I think if anything, it's them. But I think they could. honestly end up facing Colorado, and if Colorado stays healthy too, I think they have a fighting chance as well.
We'll see. I mean, for me, if I'm going for the West, I could definitely see St. Louis or Vegas going in. But as for the East, I would probably say Philadelphia or Tampa Bay. But if I'm flipping a coin between the four, I would probably say Philadelphia would probably be my top winner. And I hate the Flyers. I do. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like the Flyers, to me, are probably the most deep team on defense in the entire league. I think they have the best defensive core in the league, in the playoffs right now, I should say.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thought. And actually, Brendan had actually chipped in with a couple more comments. So Sean, you'll like this. It says, Mets suck, Yankees are the best. So you'll like that.
No.
That is all right. And then his prediction is actually Tampa or Vegas.
But yeah, you know what, Jenna? Fee-fi-fo, fuck you. How about that?
Man, I was going to say, should we keep the feed going and do a post show tonight? Or?
Yeah, and then next thing you know, we would bring Brandon on the show next week, and it'll be like, Cheddar, the Yankees say, no, the Mets fucking suck, all right? I'm going to kick your fucking ass.
All right. Hey, here's an idea. Hey, Brandon, if you have Zoom and you want to come on next week, you're welcome to come on and let's battle it out.
Fuck you, bro. The Yankees are the best.
Yeah, let's have you, Sean, and Brandon battle it out again, or actually bring in Trevor with the asterisk Astros.
Bring my homies with me.
Me and Tom, we can just mute and turn the cameras off and go eat it.
We'll just go for a beer. We'll let the three of them duke it out for a while.
Sean and I, we should all go. Actually, no. You know what would be funny in this situation is that I would sit back with Cheddar, and you three would go to Moe's or Chipotle, and you bring me back a chalupa.
That's Taco Bell, genius.
No, it's not, dumbass. You can get it as
Yeah.
It's Mexican. You can get a chalupa at Chipotle or Moe's. I was just there.
Yeah, I'll definitely go to Moe's. It's been a while, so.
Yeah.
I don't like Moe's normally, but my friends at my job were just like, hey, let's go to Moe's. And I'm like, fine, let's just do it.
I actually have one right by my work. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting one of those loaded quesadillas there again.
Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, I know Shadow's watching. He's looking at me. He's going to be like, yeah, but the Yankees suck. What if I said this? How about the Eagles suck? How about that? Yeah, he's an Eagles fan.
All right. Oh, he accepted. So Brandon said, let's do it. He'll be there next week on Tuesday, and he's got Zoom, so let's do it.
All right. So, Cheddar, we'll all meet at 7:45 next week. And the show starts at 8, and then we can start bitching and moaning for almost 2 hours.
Yeah, let's do it. And of course, I mean, it's a free-for-all, so basically anything comes up in this show.
Yeah, we're going to hear him talk about the Yankees, about how great they are, when everyone fucking hates them, except for Sean.
I mean, numbers don't lie, man. I'm just saying. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah, I still remember you and Trevor going at it. That was beautiful.
B, C, D. What comes after E? That's a Yankee fan in a nutshell, because they can only count the 5 rings that they won 20 years ago, but yet they couldn't count the other 22.
More than the Mets have.
2, bitch. 1 here, and then the other one here.
and Brandon actually, or Cheddar just gave you the for real, Sean, so he's definitely in your corner. And then he just said, Eagles Nation. Ooh, this is going to be fun going at football here.
Good. I finally got some backup. Shoot.
Dude.
G-O-E-S Eagles!
and Bobby, he just told you to go F yourself. So.
He's good at doing that too!
Oh, God. Can you just imagine?
You needed a microscope to see it.
Oh, jeez. Can you imagine if EDP were ever to come on and basically back him as the Eagles fan?
Oh,
that would happen. That would happen.
I mean, that'll probably never happen. He'll probably never be on the show, but that would just be hilarious.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, no, Chad and I are good buddies, so he knows for a fact that I'm be busting his balls like I normally do, but it's just what we do. And I love how Ryan's like, I'm taking notes. I should probably write this down for next week.
No dog. I have no dog in this fight. I have no dog.
Hey, Trevor, if you're around next week, get on the show. Let's do another round.
Is Trevor actually watching the show right now?
No, he's not. I think he's working tonight.
Damn it!
The closest that I came to baseball was like Bison's games when I was like 8, 9 years old. That's but like I said, I'm trying to get into it with this short season. So
Listen, if you want a real baseball team, Ryan, come to me.
Didn't you just talk shit on your own team about how much they suck? Like
I'm a Mets
a
fan.
year ago?
Right. Oh, it looks like we're going in the 11th inning because it's still tied at 4.
God, the Jays suck. When you're going into the 11th inning with the Marlins, that just further shows how shit you are.
Yeah. Bottom of the 10th. I'm like, how on earth do you blow 3 runs against a team that sucks?
Well, I mean, we just saw 5 overtimes in the NHL, so honestly, at this point,
True.
That's so different, though, because at least in baseball, it can be done quicker.
yeah.
Well, yeah, hit like a 3 or 4, or hit like a 3-run homer or a grand slam, and you're instantly back in it.
Yeah, always thought it would be. Yeah, just posting at the good. The link does return. Shall we all maybe get it? Okay, yeah. So does anybody have any last comments before we wrap up the show?
I mean, I was just gonna ask, do you guys like Christian Wade or not?
Yes.
Christian Wade?
Yes, I do. Yep.
I like to see him get a shot.
Yes,
Right.
I want to see him get a shot with the Bills. That's it. Those two preseason games they played. His very first play, touchdown run.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Here's my thing. First off, I was dumb. Regardless of whether or not he makes the team, I have his jersey because I went out and I customized one and I bought it. It was actually, honestly, really cheap. And they were getting rid of a color rush LaShawn McCoy ones too, so I got that for like $80. So that's besides the point. But like you just said, his first NFL play ever, and obviously it's not a regular season game. Obviously it's preseason.
Still though.
Yeah,
Still.
exactly. At that point, it's whatever. What a lot of people don't realize is he had, I can't remember exactly, it was like 6 or 8 months worth of pre-NFL training. So it was before he even knew what team he was going to. So I know he's going up against guys that played his entire life or that played their entire lives, but I mean, he had almost a full year of NFL training, essentially a year of the combine, and then some, essentially an 8-month training camp. Again, I can't remember exactly how long it is. And then he went to a team. Honestly, Buffalo could have been the best thing that happened to him. And then who was there? LaShawn McCoy was still there. Devin Singletary was there. So, like, he was around. Frank Gore was there. So he was around all these different guys, with some with experience, some that are just coming into the league. Yeldon was a starter. And now I've gotten into this argument on Twitter with Jay Spence from Buffalo Fanatics about a bajillion times. But, like, Yeldon was a starter in Jacksonville, and now he's like a special teams guy in Buffalo. There's no reason that Christian Wade can't beat him out. Like, they limited the roster to 80, and they cut a bunch of people. If they didn't want him or didn't think he could compete for this team to be on that 53-man roster, they would have cut Christian Wade and let him go to another team. They would. If not,
I'm glad they didn't.
He's going on the practice squad again because he still has the protected spot this year if they put him on the practice squad. So, but I think he, honest to God, has a shot at the RB3 position. But
he deserves a shot.
Yeah.
He definitely does. Hey,
I like to see him for next season, 2021.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Hey, quick update. The Blue Jays actually managed to score one at the bottom of the 10th right before they were about to go into the 11th inning. So the Blue Jays came back and won 5-4.
Wow, that's sad. I'm sorry. That's really sad when you're just about going into 11th with the fucking Marlins. That's just really sad.
You let the Marlins come back.
Well, that means you're shit. At least the Mets don't have to deal with that crap.
Right. And the Blue Jays can say they're 1-0 in Buffalo now, so that's
I'm telling you, it is the curse of playing in the city of Buffalo as a professional sports team. It is the curse.
Yeah.
Yep.
So actually, Chetta actually commented here, Yeldon's not very good. I mean, he's big, but he's not very good.
He's not. He was a
starter.
He was the starter in Jacksonville. And then they got good, and then they dropped off, but he was the starter there. And then he comes here, and he's behind Frank Gore, who, as much as we all love Frank Gore, lost a couple of steps. And then he was behind Devin Singletary, who I also have his jersey. I love Devin Singletary. I think he was a great pickup for this team.
Oh, yeah.
Then he's behind them, and he's doing special teams. So, like, there's no reason. I mean, obviously, it's going to be Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. Basically, anybody that was drafted this year was drafted to make the roster. So I think we had that conversation before, Tom and Bobby, about the NFL, like what the receiver roster is going to look like. But I mean, anybody who was drafted in 2020 was drafted to make the roster. They're making the roster. That is what it is. But to the comment that was made, I agree. Yeldon was a starter. Now he is a third slot special teams guy. I think Christian Wade can at least compete with him for the spot, because the big thing with that is being able to catch the football as well. And if you have been paying attention to Christian Wade on social media, what is every single video he's been posting? Him catching the ball that's being thrown to him. And obviously, he's going to post the good stuff, but still, I mean, he looks pretty good doing it. And as Sean said, he had beautiful runs in the preseason last year. His first one was a touchdown. So I am on the Christian Wade train from here till it runs off the tracks. I am on the train. I bought the jersey. I'm happy with the purchase. And he will forever be a part of Bill's Mafia.
Yes.
As far as I am concerned. So
yes.
Yep. Absolutely. And apparently, actually, I'm watching some other baseball coverage right now, and Texas is up against Seattle. So I think it's like 2-0 right now, from what I'm seeing on that. So that's pretty interesting. And then, of course, Vegas will come up a little bit later tonight, so that'll be interesting. And then, just kind of see what else happens.
Poor Sean.
Poor me what?
Oh, nothing. It's just a shame because you're wearing a Yankee shirt, but that was another topic we talked about a while back. I'm going to save it for Chad to come on next week. I'm going to save it. So I guess that's really it for the Buffalo After Dark, don't you think?
Yeah, and I'd say before everyone takes off, Bobby, where can we follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and of course on YouTube at the Buffalo Bobcast. And I have an interview tomorrow night. It's actually a 2-for-1. I have 2 UFC fighters coming on tomorrow. I have Matt Rigola and I have Billy Quarantello, who's a Buffalo native, by the way. He's coming on my show tomorrow night.
Awesome. Sean, where can we follow you?
You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube at Big Fresh Matt.
Nice. Ryan, where can everyone see your ugly ass? I'm just kidding. Hey, at least he didn't show it. I mean, we were lucky because I didn't have to edit your ass crack from the show the other week.
Oh, yay!
Remember that? Where it actually showed on our view, and we were all like blinded by the sight of that when Trevor was on during that show. Oh, hell no, dude.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, God, no. I took it off of that because I don't think anyone wants to see that.
Son of a bitch. Why would you do that?
So there's 2 places that people can follow me on Twitter. The first one is at RyanTJM. That's my personal Twitter. And then if you want to follow my podcast specifically, you can follow at RivalryPodBT. And so we'll be talking pretty much all hockey all the time. And so those are the 2 places that people can follow me.
Nice. And then, of course, I have the Tom Wojcik Show on YouTube, which I haven't posted there in a little bit. I'm going to try and get some stuff up fairly soon. We also have our Twitter at Horns and Hooves ENT. We got some love from Channel 2 recently, so we're very happy about that. They're new sports anchor actually on the weekends, which thank God they have like a good sports anchor now on the weekends. I mean, definitely loved watching her. So basically with that, we got some love from them. They gave us some retweets, which was pretty sweet. So, thanks to those guys for doing that. And then coming soon, we have our Facebook page, Horns and Hooves Entertainment. And then keep a lookout for the new website coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll let you know when that's on.
What?
Oh, the new website that's coming soon. We'll let you know when that launches.
Did you hear what I just told you?
No.
Shut up, bitch!
Oh, The Rock. Nice.
Yeah. Shut up. It's not out yet.
Hey, Bobby, weren't you supposed to show Vinny like Dr. Squatch again tonight?
He's not here.
Ah, okay. Hey, Vinny, when are you coming back?
Yeah,
Vinny, come on, man.
Hashtag bring Vinny back.
Yeah, definitely, man. We gotta get you back on here as one of the guys again. We haven't seen you in a while.
No, we haven't seen your ugly face in less than 2 months.
Well, hey, it could be the like what I'm trying to say. Well, it could be all the fumes from like paint thinner, varnish, and whatever else for making those tables. Who knows? But no, Vinny, come on, man. We love you on here. Come on back on and join the show again.
Yes, please.
Yes. All right. Any last thoughts from anybody before we get out of here?
I'm good.
All right. So, hey, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. And, we know a lot of people ended up watching on Facebook tonight, too. So, of course, we appreciate that. The comments, same thing. Follow us. Cheto, we'll see you on here next week. That's going to be fun. And then until next time, guys, take care of yourselves and each other. And, by the way, Astros suck. See ya.
Fact.